In this video, we will look at how can we use Excel to create the scatter plot. And I highly recommend you use the data analysis function instead of the scatter plot in order to avoid misplacing your x variable and y variable, or dependent variable and independent variable. So this question is about how can we use the ACT score to predict the GPAs in the first year of freshman. So everybody knows that before you come to the school, you will take ACT score, and before you are enrolled, and the admission officer will check your ACT score to decide whether you should be enrolled. So the rationale behind it is people will assume if you have a higher ACT score, you should have a higher GPA in your college. So that's how this research about. So they want to use the ACT score to predict the GPA. They try to see does ACT have a relationship with our GPA. So in this case, the GPA is the variable we want to predict. So that is our dependent variable. And ACT score is the one we use to predict the GPA. So that will be the independent variable. So now we can use the data analysis after we distinguish which is the dependent variable and which is independent variable. So first click the data tab and then find the data analysis on your Excel. So now you will see this dialog. You should be familiar with it, called the data analysis. And then we find a tool called a regression. So we definitely will see this regression tool in the future chapters. So we need to get familiar with this one. First, then click OK. So after you click OK, you should see this dialog called regression. Again, we have two areas. First, input. You need to tell Excel where is your data set. And then the output option. So you need to tell Excel where do you want to place your result and what kind of result do you want. So the input, let's finish the first area, input. So input Y range and input X range. So in the geometry, you should know the Y actually is our dependent variable, and we will predict it. And X is our independent variable, which we use it to predict other variables. So as we mentioned, the GPA is the variable we want to predict. So that is Y range. So let's first select Y range. Make sure you select the label for the column. Then we select the X range. And also make sure you include the label. So now we can see for both column we include the labels. So you need to make sure check the box labels. So now we finish the input area. Let's move on to the output area. So make sure you tell computer where you want to place your output. So let's see, it's called a scatter plot. Then before you click OK, you need to tell computer you want to generate the scatter plot. So you need to choose this one called line fit plots. So we will see a scatter and we will see some predicted value as well. And then you can click OK. So once you click OK, you should see on your Excel, it create a new spreadsheet called a scatter plot. That's what you just named, scatter plot. So all the result is presented on this page. And now we don't need to worry about this area, those statistics or numbers. We just care about this diagram. So this diagram is our line fitted plot. So the blue dot is our observation. And what is the red dot? So the red dot is predicting the Y value, so we don't need it. So first choose red dot and find the delete on the keyboard and push it. So you only left the blue dot. So if you try to remember how the plot should look like on textbook, you should have realized we're missing one line. That is our trend line. It will tell us in a general idea how the relationship between the two variables, positive, negative, or no relationship. In order to add the trend line, please first choose one of the blue dot and right click the mouse. And then you should see this dialog and then move down to add trend line. So after you push at the trend line, so you should see this. There is uh, one line go through the observation. That is our trend line mentioned in our textbook. So that is our scatter plot. By doing this, you will never flip the x and y axis. So the y vertical axis is GPA, horizontal axis is ACT score.